Good afternoon, everyone. Daniel here from GrowYourMusicStudio.com. Excited to come live to you today. And I've got a video that I was a little nervous to bring to you. It would be a lot safer for me to just come on and do some marketing ideas or talk about business. But I thought today what I would do instead is tell you a little bit about what's going over the last 2 weeks inside my head that I think can be really helpful to you. I'm not just giving you my life story here. I think that this could actually be valuable to you. And so let me tell you a little bit about what's going on. It's the beginning of the year. And what I do at the end of every year, beginning of the new year, is to sit down and think about what I had done the previous year, think about the year that's upcoming, and plan out what I'd like to have happen. And that's what I did. The first week or the bridge week between last year and this year, I sat down and planned out month by month what I wanted to have happen in my studio and what I wanted to have happen with these live videos and the videos that I'm doing and what I wanted to have happen on the blog. And it gave me a lot of clarity. It gave me a lot of insight into exactly the strategy that I needed to be pursuing to make what I want to have happen in 2018 a reality. But with that clarity came some realizations of some things that I'm doing wrong. And this is why I was so scared to do this video today. Maybe scared is an exaggeration, but this is why I felt a little uneasy. Because this advice could feel generic, and it could feel like one of those feel-good lists that you see on BuzzFeed or a site like Forbes. It could just seem like this very generic copy and paste type thought. The truth of the matter is that these things are cliches because they're really true. And as I was looking at my performance in 2017 and what my studio did, what the blog did, what my coaching practice did, I realized that I had room for improvement in these areas. I wanted to be honest about that, and I'm hoping that it can be helpful to you as you think about what you're doing this year. And here's the thing. There's just 3 things here that I'm going to talk about. Let's imagine for a second that you already have all this stuff under control. Let's say that you're just doing perfectly and you're performing at top level in these several areas. Great. I maybe have a tip or 2 for you that'll make your awesomeness even better. So if you are already perfect in these areas, then terrific. I still think I have something for you. I think that's why it's going to be worth it to watch this video. So here are my bad habits, my true confessions, the things that I need to ratchet down in 2018 so I can get to my goals faster, so I can live a more peaceful and happy, calm life. And I'm going to start this by giving a quote from someone who has been profoundly influential on me. And that is, and I've mentioned his name before, David Allen. He's an author and a corporate consultant who comes into corporations and helps a management team, or he comes into small businesses and helps all the team members of a small business become more productive, lose their bad habits. And his quote is, "You can't feel good about what you're not doing if you don't know what you're not doing." And what this is this idea that you have to define your work and you have to stay very focused on what it is you actually want to get done. So then, what are the distractions? What are the bad habits that I have in my life that are keeping me from doing those things? So here they are. The first one, don't work more. And let me explain what I mean by that. If you have a certain set of goals, I want to get my studio to this size this year. I want to grow my income to this year. I want to increase retention to this rate. If you have certain goals that you're pursuing, one of the tempting things that you can do is to try to get to that goal just by throwing more hours at it, by throwing more money at it, by throwing more staff at it. And the question, and I got this from Tim Ferriss, but the question that should be asked as opposed to just doing all of those things that I just mentioned is, what am I what am I spending a crazy amount of time on to try to fix? That's how you identify this area. And this applies whether you're a small studio or a big studio. And the follow-up question, and this is really what I was getting at, is instead of working more, how could I change my approach to something? Here's a perfect example. And this is an area where I finally took it seriously at the end of 2017, and it changed my results. You will often see, this is possibly one of the biggest complaints I see from studio owners, again, no matter what size, and that is the idea of chasing down payments from customers. mid 2017, I started a travel studio. I started a traveling component to my studio. So I have my own personal studio, but I began to hire teachers to see students that I couldn't see, either because I was out of space on my private roster, or it was a non-optimal student. I don't teach adults, I don't teach preschoolers, I don't teach certain types of students. And instead of just turning those people away, I wanted to give them a chance at a great music education. So I brought in qualified people who I thought would do a really great job, who were a cut above in terms of their educational content, in terms of their teaching ability, in terms of their customer service, in terms of how well they treat customers, and just their general overall attitude. So I bring these people in, and I'm giving those to those people. Well, here's what I discovered, and here's what I learned. That if you think getting payments from people that you see from week to week is tough, try getting payments from people who you don't see ever. Some of these students I've never met. They've only ever met my teachers because they come to their house. And me and my office manager spent a good portion of 2017, an inordinate amount of time, an excessive amount of time, collecting payments from people who just didn't pay. And at the end of the year, we looked into different solutions into auto billing. And we found a really great one. We started getting people on that, and the time that we're spending has basically dropped to zero. Now, here's the thing we could do. We could just have thrown more work at it. All of 2018, we could have just been chasing people down, trying to get payments from people. We don't have to do that now. And that's just one good example of how changing your strategy can change your results. It can prevent you from having to work more. So that's the first bad habit. I think another example of that is registration, or how you onboard people. And this is something that I've been talking about over the last month. But with registration, there's all this information you have to get, and there's all these I's you have to dot, T's you have to cross, making sure invoices get there at the right time, making sure that you're giving people the right information, your policies, your procedures, and there's just all these things. And instead of doing this piecemeal and hoping for the best, I sat down with my office manager and we created a multiple page document of exactly how we were going to onboard every single student. Who was responsible for what? Who was responsible for emails? Who was responsible for putting people into our automatic follow-up system? And when we did this, it basically took the stress level around this down to zero. And again, this is what I'm talking about. I could just be having my office manager manually trying to remember all this stuff. We systematize it. This is a way of bringing systems and bringing order to chaos and not solving problems by working more. And there's just dozens of examples, even inside a studio, where this is true. This is true throughout your life. This is a place where I'm getting tighter and I'm tightening up my process in 2018. So that's the first one. Second one, again, another success habit, something that I have to keep top of mind. And for me, this is true in my studio. This is true in other parts of my life where I have other entrepreneurial things going on, like with my blog, like with these videos and that sort of thing, with coaching clients, that sort of thing. But this is a tough one, but it is this. The second one is don't over-communicate with low profit, high maintenance customers. And you know, there's a number of things I could be bringing to attention here. I'm talking the big ones where in my life, if I do this, it's going to make 2018 even better than 2017. So here's what I mean. I'm going to tell you a story from my studio. I started a family, great student, just a great kid, practiced a lot, was happy, came smiling every week to lesson. Really liked this kid. Probably 9 years old, 9 or 10. And at the end of every lesson, I began to dread the end of the lesson. It was the last lesson of the night, and I began dreading it for two reasons. Oftentimes, the dad would show up to pick the child up 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late, 20 minutes late. Now, I'm of the opinion that I don't have the right to complain about something if I'm not willing to do something about it. So that's the frame I'm coming from. I don't really believe in complaining about bad customers. So I tried all of these things where I was thinking, how can I impact this? But at the end of the day, after a certain point, you just can't change other people, and you have to accept that fact. So I have this student that I really, really like, and I have this dad who's consistently showing up late, 2-3 times a month. It's upsetting my family's personal schedules, because since this is the last lesson of the night, I have a family schedule that happens that basically begins. I'm on the clock for the family right after my last lesson ends for the night, and I'm waiting around with this child waiting for the dad to show up. Then the dad shows up, and oftentimes Instead of kid hopping in the car, them driving off, car parks, dad turns off the engine, gets out, and wants to have a 10-minute conversation with me about the child's progress. So there were some nights I was really taken off guard by this. I had never seen this happen with a family before, not in 15 years of teaching. The very first few times this happened, I was sometimes finishing up 25 minutes after I had planned on being done for the night. Sometimes 15, sometimes 20, but a few times, 25 minutes later, I'm finally done for the night. And I will tell you, I think I have a pretty good perspective on this stuff. I will tell you that this even pushed me to the limit. And I tried a lot of things, and I wrote some very strongly worded emails. Some things improved for a while, but then things just kept coming up. After a certain point, I began to realize that this was taking up mental energy that you deserve. You who are watching right now, you deserve this. I should be thinking about creative things, thinking about things that can help other people. I should be thinking about my studio, creative things in my studio. I shouldn't be thinking about strategies for how to get this dad to show up on time, when in reality, I can't make that happen. So I did what I had to do, and I let them go. And I have consistently done this over the years, and I am just, again, redoubling I'm doubling down on this strategy of not allowing high maintenance customers to dominate my life. And I will tell you that even big studio owners struggle with this sometimes. They struggle with that tough parent or that tough conversation they have to have. If you take the principle that you cannot impact how other people behave, how other people treat you professionally, you can demand respect all you want. The only way to guarantee that you have respect is by by having self-respect, by doing the thing that you know you need to do. And do what I did there. Cut off those customers. Don't think twice about it. Don't lose sleep over it. It will definitely make things better. And again, like I said at the beginning of this video, I was hesitant of doing this video because I think this advice can be construed as just feel-good advice or things that are kind of cliche. But they're often cliche for a reason because so many people struggle with this, and I wanted to bring that one up. So that was bad habit number 2. Bad habit number 3, stop checking email. And the principle here is that the email never stops. The quicker you reply, the quicker the response comes back in. And again, being totally honest, true here, I made a joke about 2017 that I was doing 3 shifts. That in the morning I was writing for the blog or working with clients. In the afternoon I was doing piano studio things. And then at the end of the day, after 8 o'clock, from 8 to 10, I was dealing with client communications. I was finishing up work for the day. So, throughout 2017, for most of the work week, I was putting in hours from basically 5:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. A big part of that was allowing email to kind of overwhelm me and run my life and letting my inbox run my life. And I think the principle to be drawn there is that your inbox, and again, I got this from Tim Ferriss, brilliant guy. If you haven't listened to his podcast, you should. But when he said this one time, it just really clicked for me. And the idea that an email is someone else's agenda for your time. And in 2018, my resolution was basically to work ends at 8 p.m. And I am really, really challenging myself to stick to that goal this year. I don't view work as, I think the temptation for me is that I don't view work as this awful thing that happens. I love all the stuff I do. I often make the comment that if I had $10 million in the bank, like if I had a long-lost uncle give me $10 million, I inherited it, I would still teach piano. I love it that much. If I had $10 million in the bank, I would still make this blog. I would still make these videos. I just enjoy doing this. The temptation for me is to say, I enjoy doing this. This really isn't work. It doesn't feel like work. Let me just go check those emails. And what will happen is at the end of the year, I will probably have wasted time, frittered time away by just checking emails and allowing more inbound into my life, when if I had just cut it off, it would have cut down the flow of work and tasks for me to do that are coming from outside. So that's kind of the thought that I'm thinking there. And what I will say is that there is a practical way, and this is what I promised at the beginning. If you've already got this down, good for you. Let me give you a practical tip. This is one thing that I learned over the last few years. You can cut down email with better systems. I'll give you a perfect example of this. I used to do rescheduling in my studio through email or by phone. And at a certain point, when I got to a certain size, I realized that was an unsustainable system. And what I did instead was created a calendar that people could automatically come onto and reschedule themselves. Or see what I had open so I would stop the email tag back and forth. But even with that system, I was the linchpin. The parent emailed me, I did the calendar, then I reported back to the parent that their request had gone through and they could come at this new time. Now, there's one way you could cut this off. Just don't allow reschedules. That's just not something I'm going to do in my studio. That's a choice I'm making. It's a value add. It's something that I do because I charge premium prices. But that system that I was doing was broken. And what I will say is that I had to innovate on that system and come up with something even better where I wasn't the linchpin anymore, where parents could go directly to the calendar and I was just completely cut out of the process entirely. And that's a way that I cut down email. And I didn't do an analysis on this and see how many emails I saved over the course of a year, but I will tell you that I often would have multiple reschedules a week. So if I had 3 to 5 reschedules a week over the course of the year, I mean, gosh, that could be hundreds and hundreds of reschedule requests, 300. And if I had to have 3 or 4 emails with each parent per request, that's 12 to 1,500 emails. And if I spent 30 seconds on each one, like, you begin to see where that racks up with the time. And so having better systems, having better communication systems can often save you there. So here's the master idea I'd like you to take away from this, and then we'll be done for today. And I have some more live videos that I've already got planned out that I'll be doing tomorrow and next week. So I'd love to see you on those. Would love for you to comment below if this was helpful, or maybe contribute some of your best ideas, how you've improved in these areas that you've been watching this video. But the last idea, the master idea, is that stress really comes from having too many open loops. Stress comes from being responsible for things that are on your mind. And that's why I mentioned that quote at the beginning of this video. You can't feel good about what you're not doing if you don't know what you're not doing. And the price for having calm and peace and relaxation at all times in your life, no matter the circumstances, no matter how much you have going on, no matter how big your studio, the price for that is constant discipline. And so there's tools I use, and there's frameworks and systems internally and actual physical tools that I use to keep, my studio running, to keep a blog that has thousands of readers every month, to do these videos, to manage 12.5 coaching clients where I'm helping them grow their studios. Like, all of those things, the price that I have to pay to keep all of that and to have relaxation in that is my commitment to the systems in my life. And my commitment gets so much easier when I push down the bad habits that are so tempting. So these 3 bad habits were working more where I should be working smarter. Second is over-communicating with high-maintenance customers. Third is checking email too much and allowing too much inbound in my life. So anyway, hope you liked this video. If you did, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up or a heart or a ha-ha reaction. If this was helpful, would love for you to share it in one of the teacher forums or share it with someone by email. And would love for you to say hi in the comments below. I'm very friendly. I'll probably comment back to you. No, I definitely will comment back to you. I don't know why I said probably. But anyway, thanks for watching. It really excites me when I see the view count go up on these videos over not only in the live sessions, but also as they get uploaded to YouTube and as they stay on my page and my videos. In my video section, I see over the weeks more and more people watching these. That's really exciting. I'm hoping, and where I really get passionate out of doing this, is hoping that some of the mistakes I made, you don't have to make, and that as an industry, we can promote music education. As an industry, we can promote love for music, and we can, as an industry, promote the strength of this industry, and that just brings me a lot of joy. It brings me a lot of joy to help folks too. So anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you probably tomorrow, and see you then. Leave a comment below. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.